Adult friendships can be confusing and sometimes lonely and awkward, even when you're surrounded by people. And at the same time, it can also be one of the most life changing sources of happiness and growth and support and confidence and even courage when you have the right people. Welcome to the Artwork of You, the podcast where your life is the canvas and you are the masterpiece. I'm your host, Lori Gouhin, and together we'll explore creativity, self-awareness, mindset, goal strategy, and the importance of accountability so that you can paint your life's portrait with confidence and ease. Remember, in the gallery of life, you're not just a spectator, you are the art. So let's grab our brushes and start creating the masterpiece that is you. Hello, my friends. I am so glad that you are here with me today because today I want to talk about friendships and specifically adult friendships because adult friendships are different. When we were kids, friendships, they just sort of happened, right? You sat next to someone in class or you liked the same songs. Maybe you lived next door or in the same neighborhood. And then just like that, you're best friends. But as adults, it's a whole different ballgame. Because as an adult, it feels like friendships kind of require almost like a scheduling team or a background check, a lot of emotional energy, and a shared calendar. And honestly, nobody teaches us how to make or maintain real friendships as adults, or at least no one taught me. It's like one day we're just expected to quote unquote figure it out between work and family, grocery shopping, and just trying to have a life. And so, from my experience, adult friendships can be confusing and sometimes lonely and awkward, even when you're surrounded by people. And at the same time, it can also be one of the most life changing sources of happiness and growth and support and confidence and even courage when you have the right people. And so today I want to talk about that. Why adult friendships are harder than we expected, why so many of us settle for shallow or inconsistent connection, what makes a deep and healthy friendship actually possible, and how over the past few years, I've somehow ended up with the strongest, most fun, most ride or die group of friends that I've ever had in my entire life. And trust me, it didn't happen by accident. So you might be thinking, I have friends, I have coworkers that I chat with, I have neighbors that I wave to, or other moms or couples that you see at events, or maybe you're friendly with people on social media. But friendly is not the same as deeply connected. And I think a lot of adults are walking around with kind of this low grade feeling of, I miss having real friends, and I don't know how to find that anymore. And I think a lot of times it's because we think things like we just need to be low maintenance, or the friend needs to be low maintenance, or everyone's busy, or it's fine, we'll catch up when we can, or we can go months without talking and pick right back up. And while that sounds nice, can we be honest for a minute? Because I think that sometimes low maintenance really means emotionally distant, or we don't actually know each other anymore, or this friendship is really running on history, not connection. And we normalize shallow friendships because they're convenient, and we avoid deeper friendships because they do require effort and vulnerability. And who has the energy for that, right? Especially after a long day. And so we tell ourselves, this is just what an adult friendship looks like. Everyone else must be fine with it, so I should be too. Or maybe I'm expecting too much. I used to say that a lot. I think I just have high expectations. But deep down, we still crave the kind of friendships where you can show up a total mess without an apology, or the friendships that you laugh until you can't breathe. They know your real life and not just your perfect side. And you feel more like yourself when you're with them, not less. We crave those kind of relationships. And I want you to know it's possible. I know because I have it now, but I did not always. I didn't have this kind of friendship for a very, very long time. In fact, for a long time, my friendships were mostly based on proximity or convenience, I would say. Maybe we worked together, or our kids were the same age, we lived in the same neighborhood, or our kids were in the same activities, kind of like the way that you form friendships as children, I guess. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't deep and it didn't last. But over the past few years, something changed. And again, now I have the strongest, most fun, most real group of friends that I've ever had. And if you're wondering what that looks like, well, it looks like we have a group chat with 15 women who actually like each other, love each other. We plan regular hangouts, we plan parties, we plan lunches, and it's okay if you can't make something. There's never any guilt or drama. And honestly, though, everyone usually wants to be there, which really says a lot. And it's light and it's meaningful and it's silly and it's honest and it's the kind of connection that feels effortless because, again, we all genuinely care. And I don't say this to brag, I say it because for most of my life, I didn't even know that this was possible as an adult. But again, it didn't just happen. And once I began to realize how special it really was, I started paying attention to how it was built and why it works, which is what I want to share with you. Because adult friendship is not luck, it's alignment and intention, and often a little bit of chaos, and that's okay. So, I want to give you just a few examples of what I mean when I say this group of friends is different. We don't just go to lunch once a month, like a ladies' lunch or anything like that. We actually do life together. We've gone through serious health issues with incredible support. We've gone through extreme neighborhood drama and had each other's back. We celebrate birthdays and graduations, the launch of my purse line, the hanging of my work in a local establishment. Again, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're always there for each other. We even have a fantasy football league. And listen, I barely know what I'm doing. I'm out there drafting people based on literally nothing. They're all so much better at it than I am. In fact, I came in last year, last place. But that doesn't stop me because it's fun. And we're all expected to talk trash in the chat about each other. And this year, dear God, the loser has to stand at the entrance of our neighborhood wearing a full donkey costume for 2 hours, 2 hours, with a sign that says, I'm a fantasy football loser, and wave at the cars as they drive in. So please pray for me. I'm not planning on being last, but just have my back. And so, yeah, that is the level of commitment that we have to each other's entertainment. We have zero problem being ridiculous. In fact, last year for Halloween, we secretly took turns sneaking over and decorating each other's yards very inappropriately with skeletons. So, yeah, I'm not talking cute pumpkins or spider webs, getting booed or anything like that. I mean, the kind of decorations that can really get you in trouble with the HOA and your neighbors. Basically, one person started it, then someone else escalated it, and then we were all in. There you are. Why? Because there's so much trust in this group that we can be immature and hilarious and sarcastic, and it only brings us closer. And to be clear, it's not just girls' nights or mom friends or let's escape our families for a break. Most of the time, our husbands are there too, and sometimes the kids. So it's not separate lives, it's like one big extended family. It's inclusive, it's natural, nobody is competing, and nobody is keeping score with each other. We show up for each other, we laugh until we cry, we roast each other with love, and again, we celebrate everything. And I think that what so many adults don't realize or miss is that real friendship isn't just deep talks at 2 a.m. That's not what it means to have a real friend. That's important, but there's more to it. It's also being able to put inappropriate lawn ornaments in your friend's yard and know that she will cry laughing instead of being offended. That level of friendship only exists when there's a foundation of safety, trust, and genuine love. And people ask me all the time, how did you end up with a group like this? And at first, I didn't have the answer. I just thought, I don't know, we just all clicked. But again, when I really paid attention, I realized that there are very specific reasons why this works. Number one, we have consistent touch points because real friendships can't survive on let's catch up sometime. Because from my experience, sometime usually means never. And so we're in touch daily or at the most weekly, even if it's just a meme or a life update or you won't believe what just happened or just some kind of nonsense at 10 o'clock at night. They also start the chat sometimes at 5 in the morning. Now, that might not be good for everyone out there, but you can put your phone on silence. Again, you don't have to be Johnny on the spot. But that consistency builds safety, and safety builds connection. And number two, we have structure, but it never, ever feels forced. We plan things, yes. We host parties, we put stuff on the calendar. But again, and this is important, there's no guilt if you can't make it. You don't have to explain yourself or apologize. You're just missed, but you're still part of everything. And we laugh a lot. The kind of laugh that you can't catch your breath laughter. And this is huge because humor is intimacy, at least in my book. And you cannot laugh that hard with people that you don't feel connected with. When I call my friend Sarah, one of us starts laughing before we even get a complete sentence in. We don't even know what's funny yet, but we're just already in that zone. And then we laugh more because we don't even know why we're laughing. That's trust. We don't just live to be positive. Like, we're not in the positive land. We talk about real stuff like our doubts and frustrations and ideas and our big dreams, or the am I crazy? Does this make sense to you? They were the first group when I was deciding to launch my purse line. I sent them mock up shots of what I was thinking. So supportive. Nobody pretends, nobody competes. We genuinely want each other to win, and we let each other be whole humans. And what I mean by that is that most adult friendships are either all fun and no depth or all deep talks and no fun. And the sweet spot is having both. We can be mature and deep and supportive, and 5 minutes later, we're immature and acting like children. And that balance to me is everything. And when I look at this group through the lens of growth and self image, here's my biggest insight. This kind of friendship only happens when you're willing to be fully yourself and let other people do the same, which is exactly the part that I think most adults are afraid of. Because it's easy to say adult friendships are hard because everyone is busy. But if you're being honest, that's not the full story. Because we all make time for what feels energizing and important or meaningful. So the real issue isn't time. It's that most friendships don't feel worth the energy it takes to deepen them. And there are deeper reasons for that. I think a big one is that a lot of people are scared to be the initiator. They don't want to look needy or too eager, so they wait for someone else to go first. But the funny thing is, that other person is doing the same thing, and therefore connection dies in the waiting. And while we're waiting, we're also holding on to friendships that we've outgrown because we feel guilty for letting them go. We think loyalty means keeping every single friendship that we've ever had forever, even if it no longer fits who we're becoming. But true loyalty isn't staying stuck. It's being honest about what no longer feels aligned. And as I said earlier, a lot of adult friendships also form around convenience or shared stress. We bond over complaining about work or being overwhelmed or our children. It feels safe and relatable, but in a way, it keeps us small because it's comfortable and it doesn't help us grow. And we confuse proximity, seeing someone at work or school pickup or the neighborhood events, with connection. Just because someone is in your life often, it doesn't mean they're actually in your life, if that makes sense. But I think the biggest reason adult friendships stay shallow is because we're afraid to be fully seen. And I know that was the case with me for a while, because deep friendships do require vulnerability. And many adults walk around thinking, if people really knew me, would they still choose me? So we edit ourselves and we overthink and we keep things light and surface level to protect ourselves. But here's what I've learned: the friendships that change your life are the ones where you not only don't have to do that, but you also don't want to do that. You don't have to water yourself down. You don't have to pretend. You can show up as the full, unfiltered version of you, and they love you more because of it, not in spite of it. And that's the turning point. Because everything changes when you stop asking, who do I need to be so people will like me? And start asking, who am I when I'm not editing myself? And who feels good to be around when I'm that person? That's where real friendship begins. And one of the biggest things I've realized is that your friendships will always mirror how you see yourself. When my self worth was lower, I attracted friends where I guess you could say I had to shrink a little, or I was the caretaker or the quote unquote strong one who never needed anything. I had friends I couldn't fully open up to because I didn't trust that I would be accepted. So I kept parts of myself hidden and called it being independent, when really it was self protection. And as I grew, especially in the last few years, and did the work on myself around identity, self trust, and becoming my future self, something interesting happened. Certain friendships naturally faded, and not because anyone did anything wrong, they just felt misaligned with who I was becoming. I wasn't willing to bond over certain things anymore. I did not want surface level conversations. I wanted friendships that stretched me, that felt alive, I guess you could say, that matched the person I was stepping into. And as soon as I stopped settling for quote unquote safe friendships and started showing up as my full self, I began attracting people who did the same. People who did not get intimidated by my confidence or ambition, people who could handle honesty, people who could celebrate my wins without making it about them, people who didn't need me to dim my light to feel comfortable. Here's what most people don't realize: you don't find deeper friendships, you grow into them. You become the kind of person who doesn't pretend, who doesn't gossip, who has boundaries, who tells the truth with love. And then the people who match that energy start showing up. And I know this because it happened to me. Again, the group of friends that I have now didn't appear out of thin air. They came into my life as I upgraded how I saw myself, how I valued my time, how I protected my energy, and how I showed up in relationships. And that shift from do people like me to do I feel like myself around these people without being dramatic changed everything. Because the right friendships help you become even more of yourself. So be the one who goes first. Be the person who reaches out, invites, checks in, suggests something. That is not being desperate. And also create consistency. Deep connection does not come from one big emotional conversation. It comes from regular touch points like group chats, weekly plans, stupid memes. That repetition builds closeness. Also, make sure that you make space for both fun and real talk. If it's all surface level, it never gets deep. And if it's all deep, it gets heavy. Remember, the magic is in both. Let people show up imperfectly. No guilt for canceling, no drama around the real life stuff. And remember, your friends don't need to be exactly like you. They just need to be genuine, willing, and kind. And some might be planners, some will be very chaotic, some will be deep talkers. But most importantly, be the kind of friend that you want. If you want honesty, be honest. If you want support, offer support. If you want fun, bring fun. Connection is reciprocal energy. What you bring is what you attract. And the older I get, the more I realize this. The quality of your life has a lot to do with the quality of the people you surround yourself with. And if you don't have that right now, you're not too old, too busy, you're not too late. You can absolutely 1,000% have this too. It's possible. I'm living proof. So I'll leave you with this question. What would change in your life if you stopped settling for convenient friendships and started choosing intentional ones? Because the right friends don't just make life more fun, they make you braver, clearer, and more yourself. That's a wrap for today, my friends. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And remember to show up in your life like the masterpiece you are, because you are the artwork. Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Have a fabulous day.